If you are a first year art teacher or you are new to teaching in general, this video is going to include 5 pieces of advice and wisdom that I have learned from my 6 years of teaching experience in both middle and high school. So stick around and I'm going to share with you the wisdom that I have learned from experience. Okay, number one, every teacher that is on a salary is going to have contract hours. At my jobs, it was usually, like 7:30 to 4 o'clock. My advice to you is, now this is difficult because there's a lot of planning that's involved and like organizing in the classroom that we need to do before the next day. But my advice to you is, as much as possible, go home at contract time. You are not expected to stay until 5, to stay until 6, to stay until 7. You need your outside of work time in order to stay sane and keep your cup filled, basically. So you don't want to get burnt out. And now I know that that's easier said than done within the first couple of weeks. And honestly, my first year of teaching, I spent a lot of time preparing my classroom and reorganizing things and fine-tuning everything so that I had the right flow in the classroom. I would stay after work, or after the contract hours. But what I'm telling you is that if you don't have to, like if there's things that you can do at your house, or if you can get this done on your prep period, try to. That is something I wish I would have done more in my first few years. Is I wish I would have just paid attention to the contract time and just gone home and stopped thinking about work for the night. That is something I would recommend trying to build a habit of, is getting all the work that you can get done during your prep, or within that like last hour of the school day. If students have off time when they're done with projects, they could help you with things. Just really make sure you prioritize your outside of work time so that you can be a normal human, and then your cup is going to be filled and you're going to be more motivated. You're going to have more to give the next day at school. Try to find 1 to 2 people that could be your go-to people. These are people in the school that know what they're doing. They've been there for a while. They know the ins and outs. They know who to talk to, who not to talk to. Find a couple people, and this will kind of usually just happen naturally. You might have to go introduce yourself or something like that, but you use your social skills and your instincts to find somebody that you could trust, that is responsible and that can kind of guide you along. Like if you need help at the copier or the printer and you need somebody in that media center or in that library, that is your go-to person that could assist you if you actually need the help, if you can't fix the problem. You need somebody in that front office. Maybe it's your secretary, maybe it's one of the vice principals, whoever, somebody that can guide you and help you if you need something in their neck of the woods. Just try to find, 1 to 2, maybe 3 different people around the school, a neighboring teacher at a nearby classroom, that can help you. It is the next day. I had some stuff happen, some stuff come up. So the next piece of advice I have for you, if you're a first time teacher, you're just getting into this, the number one rule, or the number one pathway to success as an educator, in my opinion, based on my experience, it is to build relationships with them. And I know that you hear this all the time. You hear it in school, you hear it like when you're going to college, you hear it in college, you hear it at the actual school. It's everywhere. Everybody's talking about that because it is so important. And I don't think I would have had the teaching career that I did if it weren't for my relationship with my kiddos. They were just everything to me. And the part of teaching that I loved was being with the kids. That's the whole reason I got into art education, because my undergrad degree was just in fine arts. It was in sculpture primarily. And I never necessarily wanted to go to school to be an art teacher. But after I went to art school, I thought this is a great route for me to be able to work with kids, something I've always wanted to do, and also make my art at the same time and make art with them and develop content and that kind of thing. So um that's what I love about teaching, is that relationship you get to build with the kids. Like, that's the best part. And I've met so many teachers that think the opposite of that. They don't necessarily think they don't consider that to be their favorite part. They don't they don't consider the relationship portion to be essential. There are many teachers that you're going to come across that are too focused on their content. They are too focused on having the perfect lessons. There are just so many teachers like that. And you're going to come across them. And I want you to know that your days are going to go so much smoother. You're going to have a better participation rate. You're going to have a better turning in work rate. You're going to have more buy-in. Kids are going to learn more easily. They're going to feel safer. They're going to feel more comfortable in your classroom. You're going to get better. You're going to get better test results. You're going to get more like the knowledge pushed into the long-term memory. Like, when a kid feels safe, when they feel secure, when they feel cared for, when they feel cared about, when they feel included, and they feel like you are a safe person, a safe adult, which is not very common in a lot of kids' lives. When they feel that way, your classes are going to go so smooth. You are just going to have a better week. You're going to have a better day. You're going to have a better year altogether if you build those relationships with a firm foundation and you build them quickly. Now, some of them are going to take time. Every child is different. But what I'm saying is that you need to focus on that. Yes, your curriculum is important, and a lot of it is state mandates, and everybody's telling you what to do. You got to meet this, and this, and this. But I am telling you, number one rule is build the relationships with the kids, and then everything else will fall into place after that. They need to trust you. They need to be able to know, they need to know that they can depend on you and count on you. They need to know that you are there for them. You are in their corner. And honestly, once you have that into place, and I don't care which kid, every single kid in your room needs to know you are in their corner. If they know that they can 100% trust you, it's going to go so much smoother. My next piece of advice is to experiment with your lessons, with your seating arrangements, with literally everything. I don't want you to think that on your first or second year of teaching that you need to have everything figured out. You don't need to have a perfect system for everything yet. You won't have a perfect system for everything yet. And that's okay. It's going to take a lot of time to kind of get in the motion of everything and figure out what you like and what works best for you. So I would really stress to you that you need to experiment. If something doesn't quite fit right, change it the next day. Kids are going to get used to things pretty quickly. They're going to be fine. The change will be a little bit to adjust to if you have to change, like the seats, you have to change the system and like in which you have materials. If they have to get up and go get materials, or they get materials when they first enter the door, whatever it is for your anticipatory set or your opener. If you change routines a little bit or you change your systems, it's okay. They're going to get used to it. And there's nothing wrong with changing it and mixing it up and experimenting with something different, because you never know what's going to work for you. You never know what you're going to like until you actually try it. So don't be afraid to get creative and just experiment with new lessons, new ways to execute the lessons, new materials that you've never experimented with before, or that you've never incorporated into a lesson with the kids. Maybe you've used it yourself, but you've never actually like used it in a lesson plan or for a project. So just try different things, and you're never going to know what you love. You're never going to know exactly what systems fit you best until you try them. And don't be afraid if something doesn't work out. If you've had a whole plan the whole day, let's say you have 6 class periods and it's period 1 and you did the experiment and it did not go well, That's okay. Change what you're going to do for the rest of the day. Mix it up. The good thing about teaching and teaching visual arts, especially, is that we, for the most part, I feel like we are able to stay on our toes and change things quickly. We can kind of be flexible, I suppose. And so if it doesn't work out, it's fine. Don't beat yourself up over it. Period one's not gonna like hold it against you if that system was kind of rocky or if the class was a little more chaotic. It's okay. There's always the next day, and you can always change what you're doing for the other periods of the day. You're again like you're not gonna know if something works or if it doesn't work unless you try it. So don't be afraid to be creative. Do something different than you've ever thought that you could do. Just think outside the box, because some of those ideas that are outside of your norm might be the ideas that you stick with for your entire career. Okay, last piece of advice is to utilize Google Drive. I've found the easiest way to keep and organize all of my lessons, all of my curriculum, and as a whole, the easiest place to do that is Google Drive. It has saved me so much trouble. I don't have to have everything in a binder anymore. I don't have to, go between different websites and storage systems in order to get my content. I just go to Google Drive and I have so many different folders organized in there of just content and curriculum and lesson ideas. And sometimes I will take stuff from Pinterest that just gives me like sometimes I'll need a brainstorm and just need to like get in my creative zone, and I will just scroll through Pinterest. And I don't take lessons from there, because the majority of lessons on there are like elementary school lessons, and I haven't taught elementary, I just did middle and high school. So I would just get kind of like ideas to get me started, and then I'd save those. Sometimes I'd get ideas that were so good and I would pop them into my Google Drive so that when I am lesson planning or coming up with new curriculum, and if we decide to add a new class, like one year we added printmaking and there'd never been a printmaking class before, I can pull from ideas that I've saved before about printmaking from my Google Drive. So everything that's like my brain. It's like my system. All of my systems are in place in my Google Drive. That is like the best way to organize lesson ideas, content, curriculum, rubrics, all of the things. I make everything. I use Google Slides to make a lot of stuff. I do use Canva um, to make things, but primarily, I just would use Google Forms, Google Docs, Google Slides, and I organize everything in the Google Drive as well as stuff outside of the Google realm. I will save it in there, like the stuff from Pinterest or pictures of student work that I've taken in the classroom, or pictures of things that we do in art club to like share with the newspaper or whoever. I will pop those in there in a little folder so that I always have them for in the future, or brochures for like the next school year for Meet the Teacher Night. You never know what you're going to need, and it's no use in saving everything to like your iPad or your computer or your phone. Just save it all to Google Drive, and that way it's not taking up storage and you always have it. Also would save the state standards in a PDF, and I'd pop those in Google Drive, and those would always be towards the top of my folders in case I needed to quickly reference one of those for something. Yeah. All right. Well, I hope this helped. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.